Ora, bom dia a todos. Vamos dar início à sessão de hoje. O meu nome é Pedro Leitão. Eu faço parte da TecData. A TecData é o distribuidor autorizado Quest em Portugal. Ou seja, somos a vossa linha de apoio para tudo o que seja soluções Quest, não só esta parte da migração de base de dados, mas também para todos os outros verticais da Quest. A sessão de hoje irá falar sobretudo sobre a migração de base de dados entre Tenants de Office 365. Esta sessão vai ser dada pelo César, em inglês. Esta parte introdutória farei em português. Qualquer questão que tenham ou dúvida, podem sempre usar o chat. Ou, em último caso, se precisarem, no final de cada temática, alguma questão que não esteja bem clara, se calhar levantem o braço e perguntem. Nem que eu tenha depois traduzido para inglês se for necessário, mas estejam livres de questionar o que quer que seja. Vou-vos só dar aqui um pequeno overview do que é a Quest. A Quest tem vários verticais de ação. A parte que nós vamos falar aqui hoje está inserida dentro do Microsoft Platform, que é a parte de cima do lado direito da apresentação, em que na prática temos as migrações, que pode ser de qualquer origem para qualquer destino, a parte de gestão da Active Directory, migrações para Azure, entre outras. Mas isso depois o César irá dar um overview mais pormenorizado. Dentro dos pilares que não vamos falar hoje, temos o Data Protection, ou seja, backup, Rapid Recovery, Disaster Recovery. Tem a parte de tudo o que seja gestão de bases de dados, desde administração, migração, preparar, ferramentas para quem desenvolve, para quem gere. Praticamente há uma solução Quest para cada temática que tenha a ver com bases de dados. E por último, temos a parte do case, que faz tudo o que seja gestão de endpoints, do inventário, das licenças que estão ativas, quando é que é preciso renovar, ou seja, uma gestão simplificada de tudo o que seja endpoints. Isto numa questão muito simplista e muito célere, para depois nos focarmos no que interessa. Entretanto, ainda não é obrigado, mas este último slide é só para que possam ficar com os nossos contactos, ou seja, a equipa que temos dentro da TecData para a Quest, sou eu, que estou como responsável da unidade onde está inserida a Quest. Depois temos a Bernadette, mais vocacionada numa parte comercial, e que tem depois também o suporte do Ricardo, também numa parte comercial, ou seja, digamos que estão os dois mais focados na vertente comercial do negócio. A partir daqui deixo a pista para o César, que irá depois fazer a apresentação em inglês. César, good morning.
Good morning. Obrigado, Pedro, for the introduction. Good morning, everybody. First of all, sorry because I don't speak Portuguese, so it could be for me a pleasure to speak that. But in this case, it's better to speak in English. So I will try to speak slow. If someone don't understand something, please let me know, and I will try to do the best as I can in order to explain all the presentation and do a good presentation for all of you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen in order to present you some slides. Okay. Let me know if you can see now my screen.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So this is, well, as Pedro said, we work for the platform management business unit, okay? So we work for the Microsoft environment, helping to improve, have a better environment of the Microsoft tools, okay? We have three big pillars in our portfolio. Okay, we have the move solutions in order to do migrations from several source environments to Microsoft target. I mean, we can migrate from tenant to tenant, we can migrate from Gmail, we can migrate from Lotus Notes or whatever, but always we migrate to Microsoft. Okay, it could be on-premise or it could be Office 365. We don't care, but our target environment it's always Microsoft. So in this case, in this presentation, we are going to see our solution to do migrations between tenant to tenant. Okay. So other solutions that we have is the managed solutions, where we can, for example, control or manage the AD or exchange. We can create, for example, delegation of provisioning of users, groups, GPOs. We can restore the Active Directory from ransomware or whatever. Okay. These solutions are packaged into the managed pillar. And also we have the third pillar that is the secure one, where we can audit what's going on in our environment, okay? We can control the hybrid environments without any problem. So we can audit the AD on-premise, or we can audit the Azure AD or Office 365. We don't care, because our tools can manage the hybrid environments without any problems, okay? So this is important to understand where we can help you or your partner, like partners or as a final customer. We have different solutions and most of them are very important and very useful for our customers. So now let's talk about the migration solutions, how we can do migrations between tenants, okay? Let's present a specific solution. Quest on demand migration. Quest on demand migration is a specific solution that we have to do tenant to tenant migrations, okay? This solution is included in a software as a service solution that we have that is called Quest on Demand. Quest on Demand has different flavors. We can do we have 5 different solutions. We have the migration part, we have the recovery part, we have license management, group management, and also we can audit what's going on in Azure AD or in Office 365, okay? So we can cover these different environments from Azure. So we can cover Azure Active Directory, Office 365, OneDrive for Business, Exchange Online, Teams, and SharePoint Online. Depending on what do you want or what do you need, you can go with 1 solution, 2 solutions, or maybe the 5 solutions, okay? So Quest on Demand, it's a family, a software as a service family, and you will select what do you need. If you only need to migrate from tenant to tenant, then you only need the migration part. And now in this web seminar, we are going to see this specific module about migration that is called Quest on Demand Migration. Why do you need to choose Quest on Demand? Well, first of all, because it's a fast and easy setup configuration. I mean, it's a software as a service, so you don't need to do an installation in your environment. It's not necessary to do upgrades because it's involved or embedded in the product, okay? It's very easy to configure, to do the migration, so you are not going to sweat, okay? It's very easy to start with the product, and in, for example, 20 minutes, you are going to start to do a migration without any problem, without any effort, okay? Second point is a secure and reliable software as a service solution. We have several normative ESO, sorry, complaints, certifications about security, so you can rely on us as a company that we have these different certifications in place, okay? And the third point is the rapid innovation. As a solution software as a service, we can improve a lot of new features very fast. You don't need to do the upgrades, because also if Microsoft is involving and is improving their environment, their Azure environment, we are going to move in parallel with them in order to keep and maintain that environment. Okay, so any new solution put in place by Microsoft is going to be also put in place in our solution transparently to you. Okay, that's why to choose a software as a service solution sometimes is better than choose a solution installed in on-premise. Okay, and let's see what is Quest on Demand. Quest on Demand is one solution that will cover many workloads in tenant-to-tenant solutions. Okay, what we can do? Well, this is a specific presentation about the migration, but why it's necessary to have or keep in mind the Quest on Demand migration? Well, first of all, is because the growing of Office 365 environments are incredible. For example, the Office 365 growth continues with a 78%, as Gartner said, and a lot of we can find a lot of merchant acquisitions in the market. Okay, for example, Deloitte says that 79% of companies will have a merchant of an acquisition into the Office 365 marketplace. Okay, so the tenant sprawl is inevitable. So if you are able to manage or control a nice solution that could help you or your customers to do the migration of the different workloads, is going to give you a competitive advantage against other partners. Okay, so this is very important. The business challenge are the following ones. For example, the cost of maintaining multiple tenants, it's not easy for final customers to maintain several or multiple tenants. If they can reduce the number of tenants to only one, for them it's easy to manage, easy to control, and for sure it's less cost for them, okay? Also, the complexity of manage those multiple tenants could be that they need different administration accounts, maybe different teams managing an administration, do administration task for those tenants. So it's not easy, okay? Also, the mandate to keep the valuable data. We need to control everything stored in our tenants. And also we need to maintain the communication and the collaboration into the companies in order to allow the different teams or different people from our companies to speak or to do collaboration with other guys in other companies of the same enterprise, okay? So that's the business challenge. So what options do you have in that environment? For example, consolidate the tenants to reduce the complexity and cost. For sure, this is the first approach and most important one. But if you do it by yourself, how are you going to start? What do you going to migrate? How do you schedule the migration? How do you stage it? How do you monitor the progress of the migration? What are you going to do if you encounter a problem? Can you do really do it yourself without native tools? Sometimes, most of the times, you need to look to a third-party vendor in order to introduce in the environment tools that could help you to do the migration. And then Quest on Demand migration rise up, okay? Because with one solution, we are going to cover the necessary workloads of a tenant-to-tenant migration, because we can migrate the Exchange Online mailboxes, we can migrate OneDrive, we can migrate SharePoint Online, and we can migrate Teams, okay? It's a proactive resolution because you are going to plan your project with a pre-migration discovery, to do an assessment about what do you have in the source environment and solve problems prior to start with the migration, okay? Also, you are going to have a complete control of the project status because you are going to have an intuitive project management interface with visibility about where you are, your stage. You are going to be able to schedule the migration, resolve problems, and so on. Also, you are going to give uninterrupted collaboration in order to keep the source and the target connected. Okay, so the migration is going to be transparent for the final users, and this is very important. Most of the customers, they only want to assume the zero impact. Maybe they don't be worried about the cost, the total cost of the project, the total effort or whatever. They are worried about to be zero impact or to be zero impacted by the migration, okay? To be transparent. So if you can assure them that the migration is going to be transparent, sometimes is the best option for the final customer, okay? Also, we are going to provide secure migrations because we comply with the different security standards and the service level and so on. And also the scalability of the solution as a software as a service solution. It can escalate without any problem. So you can migrate a lot of users, a lot of SharePoint sites in parallel without rise the limit of the solution, okay? And also the last point is that Quest has been in the migration market for more than 20 years. Also, for example, we have good news for you that we bought the company Binary Tree, that is the other big company in the migrations portfolio or the migrations market. Quest was or is the first one. Binary Tree had the second solution, the second place, sorry. And now Binary Tree belongs to Quest. So we have a better marketplace, biggest experience in the migrations market. So that's good for you because we are the best solution in the market. And what we can do with the migrations. Okay, this is the first specific approach about what we can do. We can do a discovery of the source environment and the target. So we can do a matching between users in the source and the target. We can do a match between SharePoint sites. We can do a match between teams, between OneDrives. And then after have this matching done, we are going to move to the migration process. And we can migrate, as we said, Exchange Online, OneDrive, SharePoint Online, and Teams. Also, we can provide coexistence. Why? Because we can do a calendar sharing. We do that natively. I mean, we use the native process to share the calendars between source and target. So it's easy to do that. We can manage the email forwarding in order that when one user is migrated to the target environment, we establish a email forwarding in order to keep or maintain always the information in the source or in the target, but the user always is going to see and is not going to lose any email. Okay, this is very important. Also, we can provide the domain name sharing. This is important because sometimes in some specific tenant migrations, if the customer need to keep the domain, the SMTP domain in the source and in the target, you can't do it natively. So we provide a functionality that is called domain name sharing in order to keep the same SMTP alias for the user indistinctly if it's in the source or it's in the target. The user is going to be able to send an email with the old SMTP address as it has in the source environment, okay? Also, we are going to have a project management in order to schedule the migration task and also to have a dashboard where we can monitor the status of the project. And the last point is the resource processing. We can do a profile updating in the Outlook profile of the user in the workstations, I mean. So automatically the migrated user is going to point from the source mailbox to the target mailbox, and you don't need to go workstation by workstation doing that change manually, okay? We can automate that process. And also we have the resource processing in order that we can give permissions to the migrated users to still access to the source resource in SharePoint, okay? Meanwhile, the SharePoint the resource are still moving from source to target. So in this case, any migrated user, they will be able to still access to the source environment, okay? So these are the most important points. Well, these are only some comments about the experience of some customers, so you can review it later, and also we'll give you this presentation in order to have all these points. And this is also very important. Gartner did a study past year. This year they hadn't do a new one study, but in 2019, Gartner said that only Quest was the only vendor in the market that could cover all the 40 points that they want to, or they divided the study of the tenant-to-tenant migrations. So Quest is the most important one and the only one that will cover all the workloads in their environments. What workloads we have with on-demand migration? Okay, we can migrate the mail and public folders. You will never lose the access to email data because we are going to migrate the email data to the new mailbox in the target tenant. We're going to preserve the shared email data stored in public folders, and we are going to meet compliance needs by migrating the legacy archived data, okay? How ODM, that is on-demand migration, can help. For example, migrating mail to the primary mailbox to an archived mailbox if it's necessary, okay, for each user. We can filter by folder type and date without any problem. We can ensure an uninterrupted access by migrating permissions and delegates that. We can schedule the task to run immediately or in a future time. We can perform address rewriting to maintain a single domain brand for all or selected users. This is the domain sharing, domain name sharing component that I told you. And also we can update the Outlook profiles once migration completes, okay? The next workload, the OneDrive. You need to take care about how to allow for continued access to file storage by migrating user OneDrive accounts to the new tenant. You need to preserve document versions and metadata associated with each document. You need to exclude any unwanted data with filtering to increase migration speed. So ODM can help migrating file versions for each document migrated, preserve user and sharing permissions, filter data based on folder, and schedule migrations task. Another workload is the SharePoint Online. We can maintain the documents and valuable data, ensure the continued access and maintain compliance. And this is the important points. Last workload is Teams, okay? We can discover all teams in the source, including teams, members and groups. We can provision those teams and channels in the target tenant. We can preserve user and group access and permissions, migrate the files stored in the team channels, rename or merge some teams, and migrate all conversations. Okay, after all these points, I am going to present you the tool with a demonstration, okay? So this is the first how you can access to Quest on Demand. You need to go to this URL, quest-on-demand.com URL. So you are going to access to this first screen where you need to sign in, and in the first time you connect, you need to sign up, okay? You can ask for a trial demo. So if you want to see how it works, you can sign up and you will have a trial license for a limited period of time, okay? Well, after that, I'm going to sign in the portal. And now you are going to see the different modules I told you at the beginning. We have 5 different modules: recovery, auditing, growth management, lights management, and migration, okay? This is the main dashboard where I can see the information of the different modules: migration, recovery, audit, license management, and growth management. This is a multi-tenant environment. So first point, I need to add the different tenants I have. For example, I have here 3 tenants. Obviously, for any migration project, you will need a source environment and a target environment. This is obvious. And we need to grant consent, okay? So for the different tenant, we need to grant consent or grant consent. Already I have all the permissions granted, so I don't need to do anything else, but it's the first point you need to do, to grant consent. In this case, the status is granted, so that's perfect. Let's go to the migration part. Okay, I can have different projects. Here, for example, I have this project where my source is Contoso and my target environment is Destino 2, okay? I will open my project. And now I have different tiles where I can move from one project or to a different project, okay? The first of all is to grant consent to discover accounts, match accounts, and migrate accounts. This is the basic part of a migration project, okay? So first of all, I need to go to this tile, to the accounts one, and click on open. Now, I'm going to have a specific dashboard that could help me to how to prepare the migration and how to do the migration. So first of all, okay, I need to configure connections. I need to give permissions in the source with credentials, administrator credentials from both tenants, okay, and grant the necessary permissions as I did, okay. Also in advanced options, I can select, for example, how many concurrent PowerShell connections I want, or for example, if I use a custom Exchange Web Services URL, okay? In this case, I use everything by default, so it's not needed to change anything. Okay, I have I have configured the connections. Second point is to discover accounts. If I click on discovery accounts, I'm going to start a task that is going to discover all the Azure AD accounts in the source environment, okay? So if I click on next, I can schedule when I want to run this task. Well, I already done that, so it's not necessary to execute, but it will only take a few minutes to finish. After that, I will have all the information here in this tab, in the tab accounts. Here I will see all the users, groups. Also, for example, I can see if these users are in cloud or are synchronized with an Active Directory, okay? So if my accounts are synchronized with AD Connect, I will have that information, how many are from the native, from Azure Active Directory, how many are synchronized with AD Connect, okay? After that, I will need to do, selecting, for example, few accounts, I need to do the matching process. This is very important. And this is the basic part we need to cover. In the matching part, I will have the how I want to match the accounts in the source and in the target, and I can match by these different attributes: display name, mail nickname, immutable ID, or employee ID, okay? Also, if I don't want to use this specific wizard, I can do the matching using a map, a CSV file, okay? So I can give or use a CSV file with several columns where I'm going to map the users. After done that, the match process, the status is going to be completed, and also the information is well populated. I will have the source UPN, and also I will have the target UPN. Also, I will have different columns like title, department, country, city, and so on. Okay. After that, I will be able to see users, groups, and so on. So, if I don't have an account in the target, I can create and migrate the account. So I will be able to migrate directly from the source to the target. I can select or follow the wizard, and with this wizard, I will create the accounts in the target. Okay. In this case, I created previously the users and did a match. Okay. What else I can do? I can follow this other wizard, the resource processing task. What means? Okay, with this wizard, I can process the source SharePoint, and I'm going to grant, I'm going to allow the target user access to the source SharePoint sites, libraries, and lists. How we are going to do that? Okay, we are going to enable the external sharing in SharePoint Admin Center. So we are going to give permissions to the target users in the same place that they have in the source, okay? In order that they will be able to access with the target account in the source environment, okay? And they're going to access like a guest account, okay? Here you have the explanation. If maybe I didn't explain myself very well, if you read this, you have the explanation about how we do that. So this is very important because when you have both environments living in parallel, users in the target are users in the target are going to be able to still access to the source environment in order to still read, for example, any documents or change whatever. Obviously, later we will need to do the SharePoint migration, okay? But this is the second part or another workload. Okay, after create the matching, migrate the accounts, will be in the situation to do the mailbox migration. Okay, here we do the discovery of how many accounts have a mailbox. Okay, and also we have the source mailbox and the target mailbox. So if I select any specific user, I have now this wizard enabled. Migrate mail. I can, for example, select the license plan that I want to apply to the user, or maybe I can keep the license plan selected in the target. I don't care. Second point is the migration options. I can migrate from a primary mailbox or from the archive mailbox to the primary mailbox or archive mailbox. I don't care. Also, I can migrate mail, calendar, contacts, task notes, OA, inbox rules, recoverable items, mailbox delegation, and folder permissions. So I can select, or we can select what we want to migrate, okay? Next option is to migrate different folders, or for example, do some exceptions, okay? Also, we can select a data range in order to migrate only a specific data range, or we can migrate everything. And also, we can schedule when we want to do the migration. After that, I'm going to do, for example, the migration of this user, okay? And now in the background, Adele-Vance mailbox is being migrated, but I can do other things. When the mailbox is migrated, the status is going to be migrated, but the user is still using the source mailbox. So when we program when the user is going to do when to use the target mailbox, we can do the switch mailbox. This is very important because with this wizard, we create the email forward redirection, the forwarding, okay? So we can set if the mail flow is from source to target or from target to source. First of all, when we start with the migration of the content, the product automatically create a forwarding from target to source. This is important because imagine that someone finds that existing mailbox of Adele-Vance in the target, and someone sends an email to this mailbox. If the user is still using this mailbox, he's not going to be able to see information or mails sent to this mailbox. So we automatically create a mail flow check, mail flow to source. So if someone sends an email here, automatically it's going to be redirected to source. So Adele-Vance is going to see that mail. Okay, when we do the switch, Adele-Vance is going to use this mailbox, and any mail that is still entry from this mailbox is going to be redirected to target. Okay, here I select the from source to target. Okay, so I will say I will change the mail flow with this wizard. Okay, I can send a notification in order that notify the user that is now using the target mailbox instead of the source one, and then program or schedule when I'm going to do the switch mailbox. Okay, it's still Adele-Vance is still migrating, so we will wait for a minute until it finishes. But what else we can do? We can do the address rewrite. Address rewrite is the option that I told you about the domain sharing. Okay, so imagine that one customer needs to keep the SMTP address in the source tenant and in the target tenant. Okay, with native tools, it's not possible to do that. You only can have one SMTP domains alive in one tenant. So imagine that in this case, Adele Vance still needs to send emails with this SMTP address. Obviously, imagine that is not the on Microsoft.com address. Imagine that is adelv@quest.com, okay? And I have migrated this user to this target mailbox, this target tenant, sorry, but she still needs to send emails with adelv@quest.com. If I click on this address rewrite, we provide a service in Azure, okay, where all the mails sent by this user via Dell Mail V, all the mails are going to be sent to our service in Azure, and we are going to change the alias of the sender of the email in order to set the source SMTP address, okay? So really, Adele Vance is sending the email with this address, but we change the address for this one. So when the mail arrives to the target, to the recipients, they are going to see that Adele Vance is using or still using this address. So for them, it's transparent. And we don't care if the user is in this still in the source tenant or is in the target. We can manage the same SMTP address with both environments, okay? So this is very important. Sometimes it's not necessary when there is an acquisition where the source company change the SMTP address for the to the target SMTP address of the target company, then you don't need to keep the source one, but sometimes you need to move from one tenant to other tenant and still keep the source SMTP address. So in that case, the address rewrite is totally necessary, okay? Next one, OneDrive. For example, if I select the Adele Vance again, it's very easy. I can only do the migrate OneDrive. Okay. Wizard. What do you want to migrate? A specific the scope of the file migration, for example, latest version only, or the latest and previous version, or all versions. Overwrite targets or skip the target file if it's the same version or newer. Okay, attributes. I can fill in the properties of the created by and modified by metadata with the system account, or maybe matching with the target account. And also we can migrate permissions or update only permissions for migrated content or whatever. Licensing plan, the same as we saw in the other wizard. We can select to use a new plan or to keep the plan that we have in the target. We can exclude some items by specific folders, file types, file created before a specific date, file modified after a specific date, or maybe files bigger than specific megabytes. Also, we can schedule, we can do an auto rerun in order that maybe we couldn't migrate some files, or maybe some files have been changed after do a first migration. And then we finish and, oh, sorry, I click on cancel. Next. Finish and we have done the mailbox migration and we have done the OneDrive migration. Very easy. Also, there is one more point that we can do here with download agent. This download agent means the client update agent. what is this? This is a specific agent that could help us to change the Outlook profile when we do the switch mailbox migration. So if we execute this agent in the computers, in the workstations, we can do that with a GPO, okay? In the Logonbat, for example, we download the agent from here, download, and the agent will check for the switch mailbox command, okay? So when we select or we execute the mailbox, the switching mailbox, check this point, this sentence, before switching mailboxes, make sure you have already deployed the client update agent in your environment, because it will help you to automatically change the Outlook profile in the users, and then you will not need to do the migration manually, okay? This is up to you. If you want to do manually, okay, then you don't need to deploy the client update agent, but it's something that could help you to do the migration easily, okay? So let's go back. So we have done the account migration, the mail migration, the OneDrive migration, but we still have the SharePoint migration and the Teams migration. Okay, let's go to a SharePoint migration. It's very easy because we are going to configure our project, okay, set the migration defaults. We need to specify a specific target user in order that maybe the collection owner doesn't exist, or we are not matching that source account with a target one. So we need to set a specific default target user. After that, we are going to set the SharePoint Admin Center URLs, okay, and we are going to save. After that, we can discover the site collections. Okay, I have done it previously, so I have all these site collections, and then I can select any of them. After that, I can match, because maybe I could have the same SharePoint, the same entry in the target, okay? If not, I can, and after do that, I can migrate, okay? It will take a long time or more time than the mailbox migration, because we need to create all the structure and also migrate the content. So maybe we don't have enough time to see the process completed, but it's as easy as you said, as you saw, to match the site and then migrate, okay? After it's done the matching process, we can migrate the site structure and content, or only content. After that, we can migrate only the most recent versions only, or all the history versions. We can schedule and do the summary. Okay, finish. And now we have the SharePoint entity task migration, okay? Okay, well, it has been very fast. If I come back to the Teams part, is very similar. We need to do the discovery. Here I've done the discovery, and for example, prior to the web seminar, I created this team, okay? I did the discovery, and it's discovered, okay, with 2 channels, 3 members, and I have created today at this hour. Okay, first of all, I need to provision this team in the target. Okay, if I find another team with the same display name, I can do nothing, or maybe I can merge to the existing target team, or maybe I can create a new team with a suffix, okay? For example, migrated or web seminar or whatever. In this case, I don't have already this team in the target, okay? Next, the schedule and finish. Okay, after this web seminar has been provisioned, I'm going to migrate it. And I can migrate message and files only, migrate message only, use previously migrated files, and migrate group mailbox only. And also, for example, we are able to migrate this following content right now: OneNote, Planner, Word, Access, and PowerPoint files, and group mailbox. We are improving the solution in order to include more tabs or more third-party configurations. And this is the nice part of to use a software as a service solution, that if we introduce a new feature, you are going to have this feature directly in your environment, so you can use it as far as it's deployed in live environment. Okay, so well, this is the wizard, very easy, I'm still provisioning. When it finishes, we will do the migrate process. Okay, for example, here you can see another test I have done prior, like web seminar or CSR test, where I did the migration of different teams, okay, in my environment. So this is how it works. It's very easy to also, for example, you can check what the process is doing. Okay. For example, I execute the migration and it said, okay, the web seminar Portugal is not provisioned yet. Wait a moment. Okay, so now it's still do the provisioning. Okay, provisioning is completed. So now I can do the migration. Okay, migrate, next, next, and finish. And now I will have the migration task, migrate team. And here I can see the specific events for this task, okay? Also, we can migrate teams and Office 365 groups, okay? So I don't care if we are working with SharePoint sites, Office 365 groups, or teams. Everything relies on SharePoint Online, but you know there are differences between them. So we can migrate Office 365 groups or teams without any problem. Okay, so this has been a very fast overview, but I cover everything or all the workloads that we have with on-demand migration. And now is the turn of question and answers. So feel free to do any question, and I will try to answer properly. You can write in the question and answer.
Cesar, hello. Thank you for your demo. In any case, if you have any questions now, or if there are any questions that you realize you would like to do to the quest team, please, you can get in contact with us via our tech data colleagues. Or you have our direct contact also. We are very happy to get involved in your deals, even if your customers, if you think it's appropriate and would help you win the deal. Both Cesar and myself, we are part of the team that covers both Portugal and Spain, and we will be very happy, hopefully, to visit one day you and your customers. Unfortunately, we cannot do that today, but we, as I said, we are very willing to collaborate with you in any of your deals. And as I said, if you need help directly with your customers, we are happy to do that.
Thank you, Francisco, for your words. Se tiverem alguma dúvida, nós, como disse o Francisco e também o César, estarão aqui para vos ajudar, e nós, como equipa da Tech Data,
Okay, no questions. So thank you so much for attending. Elder Alfonso, one question. In OneDrive migration, do you migrate OneNote? Okay, we migrate all the files and documents that you have in OneDrive. Okay, so if you have the OneNote files into OneDrive, for sure we can migrate that. Okay. About the tutorial, you can find also all this information, obviously because the demo has been recorded, but also we have a very good documentation where you have nice and properly explained facet documented, migration fast documented. Okay.
Yes, in our portal, in our partners portal, it's partners.quest.com. You can register, and then you can have access to free online training and the documentation, technical documentation. And also in our portal, in our quest.com, if you search for Microsoft platform, or if you search for on-demand solutions, you have also there lots of technical stuff and free webinars. So, and there is a version of the portal in Portuguese, translated in Brazil. I hope it's good enough for you. If you need any translated documentation to share with your customers. And if you don't find what you're looking for in these sources, please contact us and we'll try to deliver it to you.
Okay, Pedro, I don't know if you want to finalize or to end.
César, Francisco, obrigado. Só apenas aqui um resumo do que foi falado. Todo este trabalho que nós vimos é feito atualmente, na maioria dos casos, manualmente, e hoje em dia já não há necessidade de recorrermos a este trabalho de forma manual, ou seja, podemos fazer de uma forma automatizada, de uma forma mais segura, em que garantimos que os dados que estão na origem sejam replicados no destino. Temos aqui casos que seja possível a coexistência entre soluções on-prem e soluções cloud. Caso tenham alguma dúvida, eu partilhei os meus dados e do resto da equipa da Tech Data no chat. Enviem-nos as vossas questões. Caso seja necessário alguma... Imaginemos que vocês têm um cenário concreto de migração. Envolvemos o César, envolvemos o Francisco e podemos fazer uma sessão mais pormenorizada para a vossa necessidade. Por isso, sejam livres de fazer as vossas questões e de nos fazer chegar o desafio para que nós possamos ingressar da forma mais correta. Entretanto, temos aqui mais uma questão. César, do you want to answer the question on the chatbot?
Yeah, I need to check because I'm not sure if we can migrate files and folders without ANSI characters. Okay, I need to check with development, sorry, team. So Fernando, I will send you an email through Tech Data because I haven't dealt with that kind of files in my experience.
Não sei se mais alguém tem alguma questão que queira aproveitar para ser assim respondida de uma forma mais célere ou imediata neste caso. Pronto, neste caso, agradeço uma vez mais a vossa presença no webinar de hoje. Ele foi gravado, por isso será depois enviado para cada um de vós. E qualquer questão, estamos aqui disponível para vos ajudar. bom dia a todos. César, Francisco, thank you very much for your help on this, supporting this webinar. We appreciate very much, and we keep in touch.
Obrigado, Pedro. Thank you all.
Obrigado, César, Francisco. Muito obrigado a todos. Muito
Obrigado.
bom dia.
Bom dia.
Bom dia, obrigado.
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 Bom dia, muito obrigado.
Bom dia.
Muito obrigado a todos. Bom dia.